You ever move somewhere thinking you're finally getting a fresh start, and then realize you just walked into a hornet's nest? That was me, Daniel Rusk. Civil engineer, single dad, and recently relocated to Copper Ridge. A quiet little HOA neighborhood that looked perfect on paper. My daughter Leia loved the park, the sidewalks, the sense of community, all those small-town promises that start to crack once you actually live there. I moved in mid-spring, still unpacking boxes when I got my first letter, lawn noncompliance. My grass hadn't even grown yet. I laughed it off, figured it was some mix-up. 2 days later, another notice. Unapproved exterior color. Then clutter violation. By the end of the first week, I had more fines than neighbors. The HOA president, Cheryl Danner, showed up at my door one afternoon, wearing her trademark pink cardigan and that forced smile people wear when they think they're better than you. She said, "Mr. Rusk, we take pride in maintaining community standards." I said, "I've been here 10 days, Cheryl. You want me to repaint the dust, too?" She didn't laugh. She just wrote something on her clipboard and walked away. That night, my neighbor Mr. Calhoun leaned over the fence and said quietly, "You're not the first one she's gone after. Best advice? Pay the fines and stay quiet." But that's never really been my thing. I promised my late wife I'd raise our daughter with a sense of fairness, to stand up when something's wrong. And this was wrong. So I started reading. HOA bylaws, amendment filings, state housing codes, anything I could find. And you know what I discovered? Half their amendments weren't even legally approved. Some hadn't been voted on in years. And the kicker, their governing lease, the one that gave them power over the land, was set to expire in 15 months. Meaning soon, they'd have no legal authority over anyone here. The next day, I met with Samir, a friend from work who's also an attorney, and Marisol, an insurance compliance officer who lived a few streets over. When I told them what I'd found, Marisol raised an eyebrow and said, "You realize Cheryl's husband owns the landscaping company that the HOA pays, right?" That was the spark I needed. We started digging. Bank statements, meeting minutes, vendor contracts, all full of irregularities. Funds were being moved from reserve accounts to maintenance expenses, which is illegal in our state. Cheryl and her crew were using HOA money like their personal wallet. Then the retaliation started. My mailbox was pried open. I got anonymous safety checks from the city, even had a fake inspection claiming my roof was structurally unsafe. My daughter came home from school one day and asked, "Dad, why do they hate us?" I didn't have a good answer. I just said, "Because some people hate being told no." One evening, Cheryl called a special meeting. When I walked in, she was already at the front, smiling that politician's smile. "Mr. Rusk," she said loudly, "your constant disruptions have hurt the harmony of this community. The board is considering legal action." I looked at the crowd and said, "Before you do that, maybe you should tell everyone about the missing $47,000 in the reserve account, or the fake landscaping invoices your husband signed." The room went silent. Cheryl's face drained of color. She told me to leave. I did, but not before slipping copies of those documents into 3 different mailboxes on my way out. The next morning, my driveway was egged, and my trash cans disappeared. Small-town justice, I guess. But by then, I had everything I needed. 2 months later came the annual HOA meeting. The gymnasium was packed. Homeowners who'd all received my anonymous letters explaining what Cheryl's board had been doing. I walked in carrying 4 binders. Cheryl stood up and said, "Mr. Rusk is not on the agenda." I said, "That's fine. I'll only need 5 minutes." I laid out the binders on the table, one labeled bylaws, one financials, one contracts, and one evidence. Then I started reading. Every falsified amendment, every missing signature, every transfer that shouldn't have happened. The treasurer turned pale, the secretary started crying. Cheryl kept interrupting. "That's not accurate." But every time, I had paperwork to prove otherwise. When I got to the part about the expired lease, the room gasped. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, "this HOA has been operating illegally for almost a year. They have no authority to fine you, inspect you, or threaten you." People started standing, shouting. Someone yelled, "We want a vote." The treasurer resigned on the spot. The vice president followed. Cheryl just stood there frozen while half the neighborhood started chanting for a new election. I looked at her one last time and said quietly, "You could have just done your job right." After that meeting, everything changed. The homeowners voted to dissolve the board and replace it with a resident-led community trust. Transparent, accountable, no power games. The county confirmed everything I'd uncovered, and the HOA's insurance carrier fined them heavily for fraud. Cheryl disappeared from public view not long after. I heard she sold her house and moved away. A few months later, Leah and I sat in the backyard roasting marshmallows. The air finally felt light again. She said, "Dad, are we safe now?" I told her, "Yes, sweetheart, we are." But deep down, I knew it wasn't about safety. It was about standing up when no one else will. Funny thing is, I didn't set out to destroy an HOA. I just wanted them to follow their own rules. But sometimes doing the right thing means shaking up everything that's wrong. Now, some folks called me a hero, others called me a troublemaker. I'm fine with both. Because the truth is, power only scares people until you remind them it's just paper and signatures. And if you're wondering what happened to Cheryl or how that final vote went down, well, that's a story best seen, not told. Backhand index pointing right, go to my channel and watch the full video. HOA Karen tried to burn my ranch. Didn't expect me to fight back. And tell me what you think. Was I right to take them on, or should I have walked away? Because sometimes, standing your ground costs you peace, but buys you freedom.